Let's be honest about where you are right now. You didn't click on this video because you're bored. You clicked because you're exhausted. I want you to think about the last time you had a chaotic, life-altering problem. Maybe your car broke down. Maybe your bank account hit negative. Maybe your heart got ripped out. You unlocked your phone. You opened your contacts. You started scrolling. Hundreds of names, old co-workers, family members you only see at holidays. You scrolled all the way to the bottom. And then you scrolled back up. And you realized the most terrifying truth a human being can face. You couldn't call a single one of them. Society, and every self-help guru on this platform, tries to sell you the village fantasy. They tell you that success is a team sport. They tell you to network, to find your tribe, to reach out. But what if the village isn't coming? What if the tribe doesn't want you? Most people break right here. They view this silence as a verdict. They think, I have no support, therefore I am broken. But let's look at this through a darker lens. Why do people offer support? Usually, it's not charity. It's control. When someone helps you, you owe them. When a mentor guides you, they own a percentage of your psychology. They act as a governor on your engine, keeping you safe, sure, but also keeping you slow, keeping you below them. The fact that you have zero support right now, that isn't a tragedy. That is a tactical, clean slate. There is a specific type of dangerous capability that only develops in a vacuum. When you have no safety net, your brain switches from social mode to survival mode. Your senses sharpen. Your tolerance for wasting time drops to zero. So stop waiting for the cavalry. Stop looking for a hand to hold. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why your isolation is actually your unfair advantage. We are going to dismantle the need for validation. We are going to turn that sold empty room you're sitting in into a war room. If you have no one, good. That means there's no one in your way. But before we can weaponize your isolation, we have to perform a little surgery. We have to cut out the tumor that is keeping you paralyzed. See, even though you clicked this video because you feel alone, there is a tiny, pathetic part of your brain that is still scanning the horizon. You are still secretly hoping that if you just struggle hard enough, someone will notice. You think that if you post the right status update or send one more email, the rescuer will appear. You need to kill that hope. Right now. Because hope is not a strategy. Hope is a sedative. Let's talk about a concept in psychology called the external locus of control. This is the default operating system for 99% of the population. It is the subconscious belief that the variables determining your success are outside of your hands. It's the belief that you are a passenger in your own life, waiting for a conductor to tell you where to get off. We are programmed with this from birth. Every movie you watched growing up followed the same script. The hero is struggling. They are misunderstood. And then, at the lowest moment, the wise mentor appears. The eccentric billionaire offers a job. The love interest sees the real you. Real life is not a movie. In real life, you can hit rock bottom and stay there for 20 years. The camera doesn't pan away. You just rot. You have to understand that waiting for help is a form of self-sabotage. It gives you permission to do nothing. As long as you are waiting for a reply, or waiting for funding, or waiting for advice, you don't have to face the terror of execution. I want you to reflect on a specific situation. I know you've been in here. You have a big idea. Maybe a business, a creative project, or a major life change. You are vibrating with excitement. You meet up with a friend or a family member, someone you think is in your corner. You sit down, you lean in, and you start pouring your heart out. You tell them the plan. Watch their eyes. Are their pupils dilating? Are they leaning in? No. They are looking over your shoulder at the waiter. They are checking their phone under the table. They give you a generic, "Wow, that sounds cool, man." And then, immediately, they pivot the conversation back to their weekend. It hurts, doesn't it? But here is the dark psychology truth. They don't want you to succeed. It's not because they are evil. It's because they are average. If you succeed with zero support, you become a mirror. Your progress reflects their stagnation. Your discipline highlights their laziness. Subconsciously, they want you to stay exactly where you are so they don't have to question their own life choices. Expecting them to help you is like expecting a crab to help you out of the bucket. They will pull you back down, not out of malice, but out of instinct. So how do we fix this? You have to induce a psychological state that military strategists call death ground. Sun Tzu wrote about this. When you put an army in a position where there is no escape, no ships to sail home, no bridges to retreat across, they fight with a ferocity that is impossible to replicate in normal combat. Why? Because they have to. When you have a safety net, parents who will bail you out, a partner who pays the bills, a friend who offers emotional validation, you are fighting with one foot out the door. You are soft. You negotiate with yourself. You say, if this doesn't work, I can always fall back on X. To succeed with zero support, you must mentally burn the ships. You have to look in the mirror and say, no one is coming. Say it until it makes you sick to your stomach. No one is going to invest in me. No one is going to share my content. No one is going to save me from bankruptcy. Once you accept this, truly accept it, a strange shift happens. The anxiety disappears. Anxiety comes from uncertainty. It comes from wondering if help will arrive. When you know the answer is no, the uncertainty vanishes. You are left with cold, hard clarity. You stop wasting energy trying to manage other people's perception of you. You stop trying to network with people who are just using you for free drinks. You reclaim 100% of your cognitive bandwidth for the only thing that matters: survival. This is the orphan mindset. Orphans don't wait for dinner to be served. They hunt. They don't wait for permission. They take. You need to perform an emotional amputation. Cut off the part of you that craves a pat on the back. It's going to bleed for a while. It's going to hurt. But once the wound cauterizes, you will be immune to disappointed expectations. You become dangerous because you are self-sourced. If you don't need their help to start, they can't threaten to take it away to stop you. You just removed their leverage. Now that you've killed the fantasy, you're standing in the dark. Good. Let's talk about how to move in the shadows without making a sound. So you've burned the ships. You've looked at your empty contact list and realized that you are the only soldier in your army. The instinct right now, the desperate human instinct, is to scream, to make noise, to broadcast your struggle so that maybe, just maybe, the universe will pity you. Do not do that. Noise is not power. Noise is leakage. When you are weak, visibility is not an asset. It is a liability. You don't need an audience right now. You need cover. Let's dissect a mistake you've made a dozen times. You decide to change your life. You decide you're going to get ripped, or learn coding, or start a drop-shipping store. What is the very first thing you do? You tell someone. You post a day one photo on Instagram. You text your group chat. Hey guys, big things coming. You change your bio to entrepreneur in the making. Psychologically, you just killed your chances of success. There is a concept in behavioral science called identity substitution. When you tell people you are going to do something and they say, "Good for you," your brain receives a hit of dopamine that is almost identical to the dopamine you would get if you actually did the work. You tricked your brain. You got the reward without the suffering. And because you already feel validated, your drive to actually wake up at 4 a.m. and grind evaporates. You traded your ambition for a cheap hit of social currency. To succeed with zero support, you must become a ghost. Let's go darker. Why else should you shut up? Because in the game of power, information is ammunition. When you have no support, you are vulnerable. Every piece of information you release about your plans, your fears, or your strategies gives the world an angle of attack. Think about the concerned friends in your life. The ones who say, "Are you sure that's risky?" Or, "I heard the market is crashing. Maybe you should wait." They cloak their sabotage in concern. If you tell them your plan, you are handing them the blueprint to dismantle your confidence. They will poke holes in your logic, not because they want to save you, but because your potential success makes them uncomfortable. If they don't know what you are doing, they cannot touch you. You become formless. You cannot be criticized, you cannot be discouraged, and you cannot be stopped, because no one knows where you are. This brings us to the most powerful tactical advantage of the ghost, the pivot. When you are public with your goals, you are trapped by them. If you tell the world, "I'm going to be a real estate agent," and then 3 months later you realize you hate real estate, you can't quit. If you quit, you are publicly branded a failure. You worry about what people will say. You worry about looking flaky, so you stick with a failing strategy just to save face. But when you operate in the dark, you are fluid. You can try a business idea for 2 weeks, realize it's trash, and kill it. Then you can start a YouTube channel. Then you can learn to trade crypto. You can fail 50 times in the dark, and your reputation remains spotless. Why? Because nobody was watching. You only turn the lights on when you have already won. Think of yourself like a nuclear submarine. A submarine is the most dangerous vessel in the ocean, not because it's the biggest, but because it runs silent. It stays deep. It maps the terrain, tracks the targets, and maneuvers into position. It does not surface to wave at the other boats. It does not honk its horn for attention. It only surfaces when the mission is complete. So what does this look like practically? It means you stop posting your grind. It means when people ask, "What have you been up to?" you give them a boring, vague answer. "Oh, just working, keeping busy." Same old. You become intentionally uninteresting. You let them think you are stagnating. Let them think you are boring. Let them underestimate you. While they are hanging out, trading stories about what they are planning to do, you are at home, in the dark, actually doing it. This isolation is protective. It creates a vacuum where the only voice you hear is your own. You are retraining your brain to run on internal fuel, not external validation. You are building a masterpiece in the basement, and you are not letting anyone see it until the paint is dry. But here is the problem. You can be a ghost, you can be disciplined, and you can work in the dark. But eventually, you will hit a wall. You need money. You need access. You need leverage. How do you get resources from people who don't care about you? You stop acting like a human, and you start acting like an asset. Let's strip away the social niceties. At its core, the professional world is not a community. It is a marketplace. When you have no friends, no family backing, and no social safety net, you cannot rely on social value. You aren't invited to the room because people like you. You aren't invited because of who your dad is. So what is left? Use value. This is the most liberating and terrifying concept you will ever learn. People do not support people. They support investments. I want you to adopt a Machiavellian lens for a moment. Think about the most successful, untouchable people you know. Do they surround themselves with people who just need a break? No. They surround themselves with tools. If you want to succeed with zero support, you must become the sharpest tool in the shed. You have to become so undeniably useful that people are forced to deal with you, even if they don't know you. Think about a workplace scenario. We've all seen the toxic high performer. The guy in the office who is arrogant, rude, maybe even disliked by management. But does he get fired? No, he gets promoted. Why? Because he brings in the revenue. He solves the problems the boss is too lazy to solve. His use value outweighs his social cost. Now look at the nice guy. He brings donuts on Fridays. He asks about everyone's kids. But he misses his targets. Who gets cut when the layoffs come? The nice guy, every single time. So how do you apply this? You stop looking for mentors. The concept of mentorship is dead. High-value people do not have time to have coffee with you so they can pick your brain. That is a parasite asking a host for a free meal. Instead of seeking support, seek alignment of interest. You need to identify what the person you need actually wants. Is it time? Is it money? Is it status? Then you offer it to them on a silver platter. Let's say you need to learn from a specific industry leader. Do not email them asking for advice. They will delete it. Do the work first. Find a broken link on their website and fix the code. Re-edit their worst-performing video and send them the improved file. Analyze their data and find the leak in their funnel. Send them an email that says, "I fixed this for you. Here it is. Free." You know what happens? You just bypassed their psychological defense mechanisms. You aren't a beggar anymore. You are a benefactor. You have created a debt of reciprocity. Even if they are cold-hearted, their brain will itch. They will feel compelled to reply. Not because they care about you, but because you have proven you are an asset. This sounds cold, doesn't it? Good. It should be. When you rely on emotional support, you are subject to emotional volatility. If your friend gets mad at you, the support vanishes. But transactional relationships are stable. As long as you provide value, the support remains. It is clean. It is predictable. And most importantly, it requires zero emotional vulnerability. You don't need them to believe in your dreams. You just need them to believe in the deal. You've mastered the art of being useful. You've leveraged your way into the room. You are finally getting the resources you need. But now, a new danger emerges. As you start to climb, the people who ignored you in the darkness will start to see the light, and they will come running. You must be ready for the most dangerous trap of all, the return of the fake friends. So you've done the impossible. You survived the silence. You killed the hope of a rescuer. You worked in the dark until your hands bled, and you learned how to be so useful that the world had no choice but to pay you. Now, the dynamic shifts. You are beginning to win. The flywheel is spinning. And suddenly, that phone that was silent for 6 months, it starts to light up. The ghosting period is over. Now begins the haunting. There is a law of social physics that is as absolute as gravity. People flow toward power. When you were struggling, you were heavy. You were a burden. People distanced themselves because they were afraid your failure was contagious. But now you have momentum. You have resources. You have that glow of someone who made it out to the other side. Suddenly, you're going to get the texts. You know the ones. "Hey stranger, long time no see. I was just thinking about you the other day. We should grab coffee and catch up." This is the most dangerous moment in your entire journey. Why? Because your ego is starving. For months, or maybe years, you have been operating with zero validation. You have been running on spite and caffeine. So when the people who ignored you suddenly want to be your best friend again, the temptation is to let them in. You want to show off. You want to sit down at that coffee and say, "Look at what I built without you." You want them to see you. Do not do it. You have to understand the dark psychology of why they are back. They are not back because they missed you. They are back because they need to resolve a cognitive dissonance in their own heads. They saw you as a loser or a dreamer. Now that you are winning, their brain is glitching. They need to rewrite history. They want to be close to you so they can tell themselves and others, "Oh yeah, I always knew he was going to make it. We go way back." They are here to steal your valor. They want to warm their hands on the fire that you built alone in the cold. If you let them in, you validate their behavior. You tell them that it was okay to abandon you because the door is still open. So how do you handle the re-entry? You use a tactic I call polite indifference. Anger shows you care. If you scream at them or ignore them with hostility, you are telling them, "You still have power over my emotions." Instead, you treat them like a pleasant stranger. You treat them like a distant acquaintance you met once at a conference. When they text, "We should catch up," you reply 3 days later. You say, "Hey, great to hear from you. Swamped with work right now, but hope you're doing well." No questions, no counteroffer of a time to meet, just a polite, closed door. This is psychological torture for people who used to have access to you. It signals that your hierarchy of values has changed, and they are no longer at the top. It signals that you have ascended to a level where their approval is no longer the currency you trade in. There is a concept called the Ben Franklin effect, where asking someone for a favor makes them like you more. This is the reverse. By denying them access to your success, you increase your value. We only desire what we cannot have. When you were begging for their support, you were cheap. Now that you are gatekeeping your time, you are expensive. Reflect on this. You learned how to hunt when the fridge was empty. You learned how to cook the meal from scratch. Why would you let people who didn't help you shop for the groceries sit down and eat at the table? You are not being mean. You are protecting the ecosystem you built. You realized that you can survive with zero support, which means support is now a luxury you can choose to accept or reject. You don't need a tribe anymore. You built a kingdom. And in a kingdom, you don't just let anyone cross the drawbridge just because they wave hello. You have survived the silence. You have built the machine. You have repelled the parasites. You are standing at the summit. But when you look around at the view, you realize one final haunting truth about what it really means to make it alone. And this is the part nobody tells you about. So here is my final instruction. If you are currently in the thick of it, if you are building in the dark with zero support, don't leave a comment asking for pity. Don't leave a comment looking for a community. If you are truly about this life, leave a single period in the comments, a full stop. It's a signal. It means you are done talking. It means you are done waiting. It means you are going back into the dark to finish what you started. If you didn't need them to start, you certainly won't need them to finish. I'll see you at the top.